everyone. It is so great to see you again. This past weekend, we talked about a pretty heavy topic, sin. Now, no one likes to talk about it, but everyone has to deal with it. Now, when it comes to becoming really more like Jesus, it's necessary that we talk about the topic of sin. Like I mentioned on Sunday, the biggest difference between Jesus and you and I isn't really all of the miracles that he performed, and he did a lot of them. The biggest difference is our sin. Jesus is the sinless Son of God. And while this side of eternity will never be sinless, we should still have the desire to sin less. Now, to guide our discussion, we focused on 1 John 2, 28 through 3:9. And that passage is filled with compelling content for living a more righteous and godly life. And I'd encourage you to read it for yourself today. I'd also encourage you to check out the whole sermon on our YouTube page, as we really covered a ton of information, and I can't go over all of that today. Now, since we want to become more like Jesus, who is sinless, we ask the question, how do we as sinners sin less? And I use this text to talk about 4 ways we can sin less. First, we need to anticipate Christ's return. The truth is, one day soon, Jesus is either going to come back for us or we're going to go to him. And we get to decide how ready we will be for that moment. 1 John 2:28 says this, "And now, dear children, continue in him so that when he appears, we may be confident and unashamed before him at his coming." You see, when Jesus comes back for us, do you want to be ashamed or unashamed of the life that you've lived? If you want to be unashamed, do your best to be sinless in anticipation for Christ's return. The second thing is this: if you want to sin less, then pursue purity. See, God desires that we follow the example of Christ, to be holy because he is holy, and to be pure just as he is pure. Now, this doesn't happen automatically. It's a pursuit that requires personal effort on our part. Just like you don't coast up a hill, you won't coast into godliness by sitting idle. If you want to sin less, then pursue purity. Now, the third way to sin less is to resist temptation. John tells us in 1 John 3:7, he says, "Dear children, do not let anyone lead you astray." You see, if we're going to sin less, we can't afford to be led astray by the temptations that we're sure to face. Instead, we need to follow the example of Jesus, who resisted temptation by reciting Scripture, because recalling the truth of Scripture is key to resisting the lies of Satan. Now, the fourth way to sin less is to love others. You see, if you want to sin less, love others more. If you want to be like Jesus, you and I need to love others more than we love our sin. You see, one of the greatest myths about sin is that my sin only affects me and your sin only affects you. You see, the reality is that our sin always affects those around us. So if we want to sin less, we need to love others more. Now, I trust that this brief recap is helpful for you this week. If you want more information, and if you need more guidance on your spiritual journey of becoming more like Jesus, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of the week.